Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Tony D. This is Tony D's music channel, and today I want to talk about some very worrisome news, something that's very concerning to me, and that's about this article that I read. Patty Boyd, the former wife of George Harrison, gave an interview to Chris O'Dell talking about these four biopic movies that Sam Mendes is making about the four Beatles. And according to her, she says that she was not contacted about these films by the filmmakers at all. She mentions that a British actress who is wonderful, Amy Lou Wood, is going to be playing her in the films, but that nobody told her about any of this. Nobody contacted her. Now, this is deeply troubling to me because a biopic film where the director and writers and producers don't actually talk to or consult with the still living people who were there at the time who are being portrayed, how could that possibly be an accurate biopic film? And this is my trouble with biopic films in general. If you're going to do a movie about somebody who's still alive, shouldn't you consult them to get the character just right so that the actors portray their personality just right, and it's not some ridiculous fictionalized cartoonish version of them? Because so many of these biopic films that Hollywood makes are so bad because they don't try and get the story right or get the characters right, and then it just ends up like some primetime TV version of what people think those people were like. And there have been so many documentaries about the Beatles, and some of them have been bad, some of them have been amazing, and a lot of them do their best to get the facts right. Some of them don't do that. And some of them actually do have interviews of the surviving Beatles and people around them. So with this, Sam Mendes is making films about the four Beatles, and you have so many people who knew the Beatles and were part of that story still alive. Why wouldn't you go talk to them and ask them about, the Beatles and what was happening at the time? Patty Boyd is still alive at 82. Go talk to her about what her former husband was like. Go talk to her about what she was like. She has a memoir that you could read. Go talk to, well, Yoko Ono's not in the best health, but you could talk to her. You could talk to biographers and ask about what she was like. I mean, I really hope that Sam Mendes and the other people involved in these films have read the same biographies I've read, which is over 200. But I just don't want these films to be like so many other Beatles biopics, or I mean biopics in general, where they just make a melodrama out of these people's lives who are real, but don't make them realistic at all. And this is why I always prefer documentaries over biopic films. A good example of that is how when I was a teenager, I saw this fantastic documentary about the band Queen on VH1 Classic. I think it was called Days of Our Lives. Oh no, not the Days of Our Lives. That's a soap opera. I mean, what was it called? These Are the Days of Our Lives. Or I don't know what it was called. But anyway, that's why when that biopic film Bohemian Rhapsody came out, I didn't care at all because I already saw a fantastic documentary film about the band. And again, there have been so many really great documentaries on the Beatles. Some of them not so great. Ron Howard's film wasn't that great. It was just okay. And biopic films on the Beatles should be better than most of them. They should be accurate to how they were. And I have not... I know that people talk about this biopic film from a long time ago called Two of Us about John and Paul, I've never seen that one, or the Backbeat film about Stu Sutcliffe. I haven't seen those two films because I'm so against biopics for the most part, unless they're actually well written. Again, it's called again biopic is short for a biography and picture, is a motion picture. And a biography about a person should be accurate. A biography motion picture should be accurate about the person. And when the Beatles first became famous in '64, people in the press made these cartoonish depictions of them, and they had those nicknames. The cute one for Paul, the smart one John, the quiet one George. I don't think they even made a nickname for Ringo. But I just hope that a film like this goes way beyond those one-dimensional caricatures for the Beatles. And it goes without saying that the film A Hard Day's Night and Help and Yellow Submarine, those films also kind of portrayed the Beatles in a one-dimensional way. I mean, they're movies. They're comedy movies in a way. So I'm not surprised by that. But I don't want these Sam Mendes movies to be depicting John, Paul, George, and Ringo in any kind of one-dimensional or inaccurate way. I don't want that. And especially with the other people in the Beatles orbit. I don't want Pattie Boyd or Yoko or Linda to be portrayed in some one-dimensional way. I want them to be portrayed as they were back then. We have so many biographies that tell you how they were back then. Pattie Boyd has a memoir. Linda McCartney's friend Danny Fields wrote a great biography about her. So many biographers have written about Yoko. There's no reason to get it wrong. And especially when you have living people who were there at the time still alive, why not just go to them and say, tell me all your memories. Tell me what your former husband was like. Tell me what these events were like. The Beatles story is quite possibly the most fascinating story ever told. Those 13 years from when John and Paul and then George met in '57 and formed the Quarrymen, all the way until 1970 when the band broke up. And even when they went solo, there are so many incredible stories. That how do you mess up films like this? Come on, Sam Mendes. You've made great films like American Beauty. And you can't just half-ass it when telling a story like this. Go to the people who were there. And they've already started shooting from what I read in this article. They're on day 2 of the shooting. So I guess it's too late to go to I mean Pattie Boyd. And then say, hey, tell us what this was like, and this, and this. Pattie Boyd told her husband about transcendental meditation and the guru Mahesh Yogi, and she was partially the reason that the Beatles went over there and became interested in meditation. Now, I asked her about this in person, and she said if not for her, the Beatles probably would have became interested in that no matter what. But that's the kind of fascinating thing that could be in a film. I mean, again, you've got 13 years of story with the Beatles. And you're going to try and tell this story in 4 different films that, I don't know, might be 2 hours, 20 minutes or so. I hope they're that long. I hope they're longer than that. I hope these movies are at least 3 hours long or 4 hours long. I mean, wouldn't you want to go to a theater for a 4-hour long film on one of the Beatles? But my biggest worry is these movies being exactly the kind of biopic that Hollywood just churns out almost every year that gives you this ridiculous, whitewashed, inaccurate portrayal of a famous person. I mean, the Beatles story is already so whitewashed because there are some really salacious details about the Beatles that the public doesn't know and that they didn't want out, which I could get to, but I'm not going to mention it here. I'm just going to say that, the Beatles had some fun tonight after the concerts were over. I'm not going to say anything more, but that's not going to be mentioned in this movie. Probably not. um, yeah. Again, I don't have high hopes for these movies, and they can't change anything now because they just started filming 2 days ago or so. I think I read somewhere that Ringo was was talking to Sam Mendes, the filmmaker, but he's not going to say to him, "Hey, get my story right." He's not going to say anything like that. Come on, he's not going to do that. But I don't know. Again, obviously I'll see these films when they come out, maybe in a year or so. But again, they're Hollywood movies. I know I shouldn't be expecting the best because it's Hollywood, but it should be the best. It should be telling the story in the best possible way. And how do you tell a story the best way? You consult the people who were there, because there are people who were there who are still with us. Again, Petty Boyd is still here giving interviews to podcasters. Just fucking talk. Just talk to her. Anyway, I think I've said all I need to say about that. So, yeah, Sam Mendes is just kind of proven to me right here that he's not really the most legit Beatles fan if he's not committed to portraying their story accurately, which you would do if you contacted people who were in it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be portrayed accurately. I don't know. But again, there are so many things that I would love to see in this film. I hope that they show that John and Paul were not just friends, and they had quite possibly the greatest love there was. Yeah, they just had a love for each other that went beyond friendship. I'm not saying anything romantic. I'm just saying there was a great love there. But I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop ranting now because I could rant for much longer, but I'm gonna stop. Anyway, thanks for watching this. Remember to like the video, share it out with people, and subscribe to the channel.